So, good evening, mentorship traders. Today we are on the 5th of Feb 2020, 8:30 p.m. on a Wednesday evening. We'll be talking about the markets, your trades, and I have scanned the gold diggers picks, intraday picks for tomorrow, which I'll be sharing after we are done with the V1 Nifty and Bank Nifty. Just in case, I don't know if you get to hear sounds of a waterfall kind of sound. It's coming from my aquarium. I have an aquarium in my study room, cum trading room, and that's from where this nice water dropping sound is coming up. So I hope it will not bother you. So let's get to business. Let's talk about Nifty. Lots happening actually. Weekly chart. What happened with this fall? It slipped inside that horizontal yellow channel. If you see this, if you remember, we had this drawn for a long period of time, and the index have actually dropped inside it. This is this week's bar, which is not complete yet. But the fact that this breakout, this breakout, let me use the tools here. So we had a breakout here. So we had a breakout here. It sustained for 4.5, 5 weeks. And then we were anticipating that if it comes down, then this is the kind of immediate support it should hold. And it did not hold. It actually dipped inside this. Not so good. But the good part is we've got an equally sharp bounce back. So what can we make out from our daily chart? From our weekly chart is the intermediate trend, which was holding really well, eases off. And this channel will again now play into, come into play if these lows are broken, the current lows are broken. So I would say the medium trend chart is still intact and it needs a little bit of more time to confirm whether it will show strength or not. Now, we get some good clarity from the daily charts because if you remember, we had kept this horizontal support zone drawn. And how beautifully has the market respected this work of ours, and we have a 3-bar sharp bounce back. We had kept this rising channel, and we sense that this is the zone where some amount of resistance, some amount of supply the markets can face, because it's been a 3-day extremely sharp bounce back. Now, it'll be essentially left to time to decide whether the trend would reverse on the downside from here, whether it's going to swing short candidate or will it reverse the trend. Now, that I leave to the market, but if we look at the one time frame lower, the 75-minute charts, this is the supports from where it bounced back. And if we look at our moving averages, it's still kind of a downtrend with a rising sequence. So it will be, I think that this 3-day bounce back that we had, and if we look at erstwhile lows, then essentially this kind of zone is where the market is right now. So it's at resistances. Also, we all know that we pay a lot of respect to the divergences with the RSI. And of course, you can clearly see that if we consider these two levels, we have an NHD shaping up very clearly. So I need some signals. They're not there yet, but I have a situation which suggests that this 3-day rally can come and react a little bit on the downside from a short-term perspective. I don't have a trigger yet, but I have a condition. So from the shorter time frames like the hourly or 75-minute charts, if you get any sign of going short, you can do that. But what about the view on the Nifty? It's tough because the way it fell and the way it is bouncing back, it's really tough whether we want to be bullish or bearish, because by the time you turn bearish, it's time to go bullish and vice versa. It's good to be confused at times because confusion can lead to clarity later. But let's try and analyze from where we left it the last time. In our last week, we spoke that before the budget or post the budget can give us some kind of a trigger, and the markets were in a were in a range. And if it's a breakout or a breakdown, we'll have clarity in terms of the direction. So we did get the breakdown. We cannot complain. So we got a breakdown. So according to our last video, we are in a downtrend. The surprise factor is this, the sheer nature of the bounce back. And that's why I say that if you're trading the hourly or the 75-minute kind of time frames, you will get good short opportunities, shorting opportunities, both in the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. You can go with that. The daily charts, however, is tough to come to a conclusion what needs to be done. So I'll wait on the daily charts, not do much. 55% bias on the downside and 45% bias on the long side. But long trades will be difficult to get because the sheer nature of the bars will be very long, तो आपका stop loss बहुत wide. So that's the kind of Nifty where we are right now. Bank Nifty, if we look at, now this guy has broken below this. So once this level is gone, this will act as resistance now, can act as resistance. Now for the Bank Nifty, these highs which for the Nifty held did not work for the Bank Nifty. And so this is the support from where the markets have bounced back this time. But if I look to my left of the chart, I don't see any significant highs and lows. So I'm not going to keep this. I'm going to quickly also check whether the market did respect any form of a Fibonacci level on this way down, and how beautifully is the 50% Fibonacci supported this fall. Look over here, this is the 50% Fibonacci level. Now, I'll continue to say that the Bank Nifty is weaker than the Nifty. Even on this daily chart, I can clearly see NHDs shaping up. I can clearly see NHDs shaping up, which is not a good sign, which suggests that any opportunity that you get to short the Bank Nifty, it might work in your favor. That's from the daily chart. Let's quickly take a look at the weekly chart. And the weekly charts, if I look at the larger Fibonacci, probably this is what we have drawn last time. Got some amount of support from this level, which is clear from the daily charts also, same thing. Now it's still within this red channel, and one should not go bearish from a medium to long-term perspective. The long-term picture is still intact, and it's in a beautiful rising 45-degree kind of a rising channel. So I'm not extremely bearish on the Bank Nifty, but I'm bearish on the Bank Nifty. I'm not extremely bearish. When I say bearish, I mean that short term, it looks an opportunity to go short, which you will find from the hourly or 75-minute charts. There you go. It's entering that channel from where it broke down. Now, these kind of channels will not be relevant right now. And it's the negative hidden divergences which will play out. So the same thing, I would look at Thursday, which is tomorrow, and day after Thursday, Friday, the next two trading sessions. If I get any opportunity or a signal that the Nifty or the Bank Nifty is swinging down and it's given some kind of a cross down, then from the shorter time frame, it makes sense to short. But keeping in mind the nature in which the markets bounce back, is bouncing back, I would suggest that don't sit on to your shorts or your longs for a long period of time. This is a really volatile, or I would say choppy market, and so positions which are in profits, either you've done a long trade or a short trade, makes sense to keep yourself strategically light at the end of the day. You don't want to sit on a heavy position and face the volatility of the opening tomorrow. So strategically, from a short-term perspective, we are keeping our bias on the downside. Reason being, in our last week, we discussed we need a breakout, either up or down, and we got a breakdown. So the trend is down and we keep our bias slightly on the downside. We use the word slightly because of the sheer nature of the bounce back. It is puzzling. However, if it gives some kind of an opportunity to go short in the next 2 days, we will go short. But these trades will be short-term trades because we are not very comfortable sitting on the positions looking at the way the markets are behaving in either direction. So that's the Nifty Bank Nifty take. I'll quickly take you to the software and show you the picks that we have for the gold digger strategy for tomorrow's intraday trades that you can do from the 15-minute charts. I've got an Excite, excuse me, I've got an Excite and a Manappuram. So I have scanned the Nifty near month futures, and from the long side I've got an Excite and a Manappuram, and from the short side I've got Shriram Transport and IndusInd Bank. Now let's look at the two shorts first. If you just visually check Shriram Transport and IndusInd, of course IndusInd is a better candidate because it is in a beautiful downtrend. Shriram Transport, on the other hand, is fairly choppy. You see it's kind of range bound. Shriram Transport had a big 7% gainer today, so it's got high momentum on the upside. IndusInd, on the other hand, is flat. It did not participate so much in the rally, and it's kind of making a smaller bar compared to its previous day. So IndusInd would be a stock to go for intraday short tomorrow using the 15-minute charts. Okay, this one. And in terms of the longs, the Excite and Manappuram. Similarly, Excite, if you see, is completely range bound. It's back to these kind of pivot supports. If you look at the daily chart, it did bounce back from the day's lowest point today. And if we take you to the 15-minute chart, not much in it because the move from the day's low has taken the indicators, etc., highly overbought. Of course, the trend is all down. If we compare Excite with Manappuram, Manappuram is in a much better uptrend compared to Excite. Flat range based, rising beautiful close to 50-60 degrees kind of a move. It sold off. It has closed near the lowest point today, which is not a good sign. Indicators have got deeply oversold. That's why we got it on our GD pick. And if we look at the 15-minute bar, then you would definitely observe that this is the kind of chart, this is the kind of breakout that you would look to buy if you get a good bounce back on Manappuram. So between these four stocks which have come in our radar from a scanner which we have used, we've got two longs and two shorts, and we'd rather go with keeping an eye on Manappuram tomorrow 15-minute and IndusInd Bank 15-minute. So Manappuram on the long side, IndusInd on the short side. Gold digger intraday pick for tomorrow, and because we have scanned the daily chart, we will be looking to trade these two stocks tomorrow using the 15-minute time frame. All right, so that's our take on the markets and our picks, gold digger picks for tomorrow's intraday. Now, mentorship traders, like we always do, please ask your doubts and questions, and let's see how well we have done. I've seen some beautiful posts over the last few days And if it's possible, I'll do a poll with everyone. I think most of you have done pretty good in this fall as well as the bounce back. Got some very good feedback. But nevertheless, let's not waste further time. Please ask your doubts and questions.